A few years ago, sellers had a lot more leverage. They could say no to repairs, no to closing cost help, no to concessions. They could say no to just about anything. And buyers, if they wanted the house, they usually had to take it on the seller's terms. But the market has changed. Inventory has grown, buyers have more options, and negotiations are a normal part of the process again. One of the big things that's coming back into play are seller-paid buyer closing costs. So what are buyer closing costs? They're extra costs that a buyer has to pay on top of their down payment when they buy a home. Things like lender fees, appraisal costs, title fees, inspection costs, and other expenses that come along with getting to the closing table. And those costs, they can add up. In many cases, they can run 2 to 5% of the purchase price. That's a big deal right now because affordability is already tight. A buyer might be able to handle the monthly payment, but the upfront cash needed to close can still be the thing that slows them down. According to Zillow, 67% of sellers reported paying some or all of the buyer's closing costs in 2025. Now, that doesn't mean that every seller should automatically do this, but it does show that concessions are becoming much more common again. And this is where a lot of sellers get stuck. They hear help with closing costs and immediately think, why am I paying the buyer's expenses? I get that, but the better question is this: what does this help you accomplish? Because sometimes helping with closing costs is not really about being generous. It's about selling and getting your home sold, keeping the deal together, or helping a serious buyer get across the finish line. It doesn't mean you're saying yes to everything. Being flexible doesn't mean you're being a pushover. It means knowing which compromises actually move you closer to your goal and which ones you should push back on. And there are other options too. Maybe it's a home warranty, maybe it's a repair credit, maybe it's a flexible closing date. Maybe it's leaving behind an appliance or a piece of furniture that matters to the buyer but doesn't matter much to you. The right answer depends upon the house, the buyer, the price point, and what's happening in the local market. That's why having a good local agent matters. Sometimes it makes sense to negotiate on closing costs. Sometimes it makes sense to offer something else. And sometimes it makes sense to stand firm. The key is knowing the difference. So if you're thinking about selling and wondering what's normal in our market, what's worth negotiating, and where you should hold the line, let's talk.